Hello everyone. Today in this video we'll be talking about Article 1 and Article 2 of UCP 600. So let's move on to Article 1, that is application of UCP. Okay, actually UCP 600 is the revised version of UCP 500 which was revised on 2007 by International Chamber of Commerce, that is ICC. And UCP 600 are rules that apply to any documentary credit, or you can say credit, or you can say letter of credit. Okay, and besides the letter of credit, these rules can be applicable to any standby letter of credit which is related to guarantee, which is also known as guarantee. Okay, so UCP 600 can be made applicable to standby letter of credit as well. If not, then URDG 758 is also there. Okay, and to fully implement the rules and regulation, the articles of UCP 600, those rules should not be modified or excluded by the credit. Okay, if some of the articles are modified or excluded in the specified credit, then those articles will not be applicable to that particular LC. Now let's move on to Article 2, that is definitions. Okay, so let me cover up from advising bank to the beneficiary. Okay, so in order to be clear about advising bank, let me create one scenario for you. Okay, so here comes the applicant, who is also known as the importer or the buyer, who imports or buys the goods from the beneficiary. Okay, so for that, what it does is it approaches its bank and requests the bank to issue a letter of credit in favor of the beneficiary. So upon request of the applicant, the issuing bank issues a letter of credit to the advising bank. Okay, so here comes the advising bank, and what the advising bank does is, once it receives a letter of credit from the issuing bank, it advises the letter of credit to the beneficiary. Okay, by taking necessary charges like the advising charges or the telex charges or courier charges. Then it hand overs the original draft or original letter of credit to the beneficiary. So that is the duty of the advising bank. Okay, and here the banking day means the days on which the banks are regularly open to perform the day-to-day activities of the bank. Okay, now let's move on to a confirmation and confirming bank. Okay, so here in order to be clear about the word confirmation and confirming bank, let me again create one scenario for you. So before issuing a letter of credit, what the beneficiary requests is, it requests its applicant to issue a confirm LC. Okay, so why the beneficiary needs confirm LC is that the beneficiary may be in doubt whether it may or may not get the payment from the issuing bank. Okay, because there may be many issues like the political instability, the credit worthiness of the bank, issuing bank. Okay, so in order to secure the payment, the beneficiary wants the applicant to issue confirm LC. Okay, so what happens now, if the issuing bank issues the confirm LC, what happens is the beneficiary the beneficiary the beneficiary's bank, like there will be confirming bank who will confirm the LC, who will add its confirmation for that particular LC. So those confirming bank will add its confirmation by like taking necessary charges like confirmation charges. Okay, once the confirming bank from the beneficiary banks, besides the advising bank, so there will be other bank who will confirm the LC from the beneficiary's country. Okay, so that bank will add its confirmation to that particular LC. Once the bank added its confirmation to that particular LC, now the confirming bank will be fully liable to make the payment to the beneficiary, even though the issuing bank will or will not make the payment to the beneficiary. Okay, so this is how the beneficiary can secure its payment by issuing a confirm LC. So here confirmation means an irrevocable undertaking of the confirming bank to honor or negotiate a presentation that complies with the terms and conditions of the credit. Okay, that means confirmations means making guarantee. Okay, guarantee of the payment to the beneficiary. And here the honor or negotiate means they both means making payment, but there is a vast difference between honor and negotiate, which we will discuss later on below. So how the beneficiary will get the payment from the confirming bank is the beneficiary will prepare all the required documents, okay, and will present the document to the confirming bank or to the nominated bank. The confirming bank or the nominated bank, they will check the document. They will check the document, and if they find it credit compliant, then the confirming bank will like make the payment to the beneficiary. Okay, and confirming bank means the bank that adds its confirmation to a creditor upon issuing bank's authorization or request that we have discussed before. Now let's move on to credit. Credit means an irrevocable undertaking of the issuing bank to honor a presentation that complies with the terms and conditions of the credit. So credit means once the issuing bank issues the letter of credit, it is irrevocably undertaking, means it is now it is the liability of the bank, issuing bank, to make the payment to the beneficiary's bank, okay, upon presentation of credit compliant documents. Okay, now let's move on to honor. Honor means to pay at sight if the credit is available by sight payment, to incur deferred payment undertaking and pay at maturity if the credit is available by deferred payment, to accept a bill of exchange or draft drawn by the beneficiary and pay at maturity if the credit is available by acceptance. So in honor we have three types, that is sight payment, deferred payment, and available by acceptance. All these last three words are used in LC draft, like in one field where it is mentioned like available with by any bank in blah 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 country by sight payment, or any bank in blah 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 country by deferred payment, or any bank in blah 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 country by acceptance. Okay, so if these three words are used in the LC draft, then what happens is the beneficiary will make the payment to the beneficiary bank will make the payment to the beneficiary once it receives the payment from the issuing bank only. Okay, if it doesn't get payment from the issuing bank, then the beneficiary will not make the payment, beneficiary bank will not make the payment to the beneficiary. So that is all about honor. Whereas negotiation means the purchase by the nominated bank of draft drawn on other bank than the nominated bank, and documents by either advancing or agreeing to advance the funds to the beneficiary. So here negotiation means also a payment. How the payment is done is the is by purchase or payment by the nominated bank of, I'm sorry, let me clarify once again for you. Negotiation means the purchase by the nominated bank of draft on a bank other than the nominated bank, and or documents by either advancing or agreeing to advance funds to the beneficiary. So here negotiation means also payment, but here what happened is the negotiating bank or the nominated bank will make the payment to the beneficiary when once the beneficiary presents the credit compliant to the nominated bank or the negotiating bank, then they will make the payment to the beneficiary even though they do not get payment from the issuing bank. Okay, so that is also known as advancing the fund, or agreeing to advance the funds to the beneficiary. Now let's move on to another paragraph that is known as nominated bank. Means the bank authorized in the credit to honor or negotiate, or any bank in the case of freely available credit. So in LC draft we write like available with by blah 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 bank, any bank in blah 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 country by negotiation. If it is mentioned like that, then only they can negotiate the document. Okay, so I'm talking about the negotiation now. So nominated bank means if it is mentioned like that, like any bank in blah 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 bank blah blah country by negotiation, that means any bank from the beneficiary country can negotiate the document, because uh, those banks who negotiate the documents are known as the nominated bank. Okay, and the nominated bank are authorized means the bank authorized in the credit to honor or negotiate, or any bank in the case of freely available credit. So the nominated bank can honor or negotiate the document. Okay, so we know the meaning of honor or negotiate as well. Now let's move on to presentation. Presentation means either the act of delivering documents under a credit, or the documents as delivered in the issuing bank or nominated bank. Presenter means a beneficiary bank or other entity that makes the presentation. Okay, so presentation means presenting the document. First, the beneficiary will present the document to the nominated bank, and the nominated bank will check all those documents, and if it is credit compliant, then they will negotiate the document and will present those documents to the issuing bank. Okay, so here the presenter are the beneficiary, nominated bank, or any other entity that makes a presentation. So that is all about article 2. So here let me talk about honor. Once again, in honor you can see in A, B, and in C you can see to accept a bill of exchange. That means for sight LC and for deferred LC we don't need bill of exchange, because in sight payment, once the document once the document is presented to the issuing bank, and if the issuing bank find its credit compliant, then they will remit the payment within 5 banking days. So there is no need of any bill of exchange, because the issuing because the payment is done like within 5 banking days. And for deferred payment also there may be different deferred payment, there may be different grounds and conditions for making the payment, like first first lot of the goods will be paid on this day, second lot of goods will be paid on this day. So there may be different maturity date. That is why bill of exchange is also not needed for B. But for C, what happened is it is available by acceptance. So what happened is for Huygens LC, once the issuing bank receives the document, it will check the document, and if it is credit compliant, then they will send acceptance message promising to make the payment in the future. Okay, so that means the applicant gets the goods, but the applicant is not making the payment, because it is given the credit period from the beneficiary. That is why the applicant may not make the payment in the future. That is why bill of exchange is needed for that. Okay, so only for Huygens LC bill of exchange is needed. So that is all about article 1 and 2. So that's all for today. Thank you. Have a good day.